Okay guys, so here we are getting started. Now, cakes take a little bit longer to prep and to get everything ready for, so I did skip over quite a bit of the prep work. I hope you guys don't mind, particularly with the strawberry cake, because I'm not using strawberry extract because sometimes it can taste soapy and really fake. I did have to make a strawberry reduction, so that is in this bowl here. Basically, I just cut up about 2 cups of strawberries, I think it was, and then pureed them in a food processor and then reduced them by half in a medium-sized pan. Now, my math was a little off, so I do have some extra puree here, but that's okay because I'm pretty sure we're gonna need more icing than what my flavor of icing is going to make us, so I think that it'll end up working out. We can use some leftover strawberry puree to make some strawberry icing, because no one in my family really eats strawberry cake except for my father, but he only likes it with banana icing. And because the strawberry cake has white icing on the outside, I figured it would be okay if I kind of fudged it a little bit, because it doesn't tell us what icing it has on it in The Sims, and I just made the banana icing the main icing, but it also has a pink icing on there too, so I'll probably use the strawberries for that icing. But getting into the kind of mixing everything all together part, so in with the strawberries is going to go 3/4 cup of sour cream, 1/4 cup of milk, and then we're just gonna whisk all that together. And your strawberries preferably would be room temperature or cool, but I pulled mine out a little early and kind of just kept my sour cream and milk cool, so that way when I poured those in here, it kind of helped cool the mixture down a little bit. Because the point of it being cool is that you don't want it to cook the eggs when you put the eggs in. So, we're gonna add them to the strawberry mixture right now. But that's why you kind of want to make sure that it gets cool. I had mine in the refrigerator for a little bit, but it was kind of annoying me with how long it was taking, so I did decide just to cheat that process a little bit. Putting the eggs in, and then we're gonna whisk. And this recipe, so besides the part that I'm doing right here, this recipe actually does require quite a bit of time with flipperdoodle. See? Strawberry all over the place. Anyway, so besides this part that I'm doing right here, this recipe requires a lot of time with the mixer, so I am going to be cutting out quite a bit of this video, just because the mixer's way too loud. But so in here is flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And then this is the butter, so we're just going to, well, actually we're supposed to do this a little bit at a time. So because I have to cut it out because the mixer is so loud, just so you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to put like a little bit of the butter in at a time while I mix it in my mixer. So here's the mixture. It's all crumbed, I guess, crumbed together, because it looks like a nice little like cake crumb topping. And then we're going to take our spatula and about 1.5 cups of this liquid mixture, and we're going to slowly mix it together. Just so that all of the dry ingredients get wet, a little wet and incorporated in, so it's easier to mix the final result. Okay, and then after I mix those ingredients together, it looks a little something like this. It's starting to take the shape of a batter. And now I'm gonna go back over to my mixer, and I'm going to beat this mix with my whisk attachment while I slowly add in a little bit more of this liquid until it's all nice and incorporated and a little bit more like fluffier and lighter. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I beat it with the rest of it. It's a lot thicker, you can tell, and it's a lot fluffier, so that'll help it rise in the oven. And as you can see, this is not very pink. It's a little bit more white. So I am going to, just to give it that real Sims effect, I am going to add some food coloring. Now this is neon pink food coloring, so it could be a little much, but we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see what happens. And I am gonna do just a little bit more because once it bakes, some of the food coloring will come out. So it's better to add more than less, especially with light colors like pinks. And then these are the cake pans we're going to be using. There is 3 of them. And they have these little, I prefer these kinds because they have these little like lips on the side of them to help you grab the pan when you're taking things in and out of the oven. And we're just going to take our handy dandy pan spray. Now ideally you would want to put parchment paper down on these, but we're out of parchment paper here in my house, so unfortunately I don't have any. But ideally you would want to like cut out the perimeter of the bottom of the pan and then put in your parchment paper here after spraying and then respray on top of it. We're just going to divide the batter evenly between the 3. Okay, and now I'm going to put these 3 cakes in the oven. Now a little bit of a tip, when you are putting your cakes in the oven, you want to try and keep them, as long as the pans allow it, you want to try and keep them on the same rack in the oven, because if not, they'll cook extremely unevenly. Now my oven sucks, so they cook a little uneven even on the same rack, but it's a lot better if you have them on the same rack. It keeps them from, because like the temperature's different in ovens depending upon where they are, so that's also why like halfway through you want to kind of rotate your cake pans a little bit. Okay guys, so we are back. I actually decided just to wait till the cakes were done, because they only had like 2 minutes left by the time I got done cleaning everything up. So you can see them in the background here. I have the pans laid out. Now they have to chill in the pans for a little bit to stiffen up before I flip them out onto the cooling racks. So while they're cooling there, I'm gonna go ahead and make the icing. So the icing for this, as I said, my dad really likes strawberry banana, so I'm doing a banana cream icing. Now when you take a look at these bananas, don't freak out. You can see they kind of look a little brown and gray. They're not bad. I just bought them fresh from the store. It's because they've been sitting out. They were oxidizing. I had to like mash them and then put them through a sieve, which is basically like a really fine strainer, in order to get them to the consistency to make the icing. So because I had to take them out of the peels, they went ahead and they oxidized on me, but that's normal. But so in order to make this icing, we are taking an entire quart of heavy cream, and we're just gonna put it in our mixing bowl, and about 120 grams of sugar. And we're gonna take these, we're gonna take these 3 ingredients and we're gonna whip them in my mixer until they reach the soft peak stage, and then I'm going to go ahead and beat in the bananas. Okay, so this is what the icing looks like. It's really white, so it's kind of glaring in the camera, but honestly I'm kind of impressed. It tastes like bananas. It's a very subtle banana, so I'm thinking I had 1 more banana. I'm thinking I might add some in between the cake layers with my extra strawberry puree, because I do think this is going to be enough icing to cover the cake. Okay guys, so we are back. All the cakes have been cooled for about 30 minutes. Now they're still a little warm to the touch, but I think it'll be okay by the time we start actually getting all the icing on, I think. And I'm going to take a little dab with my spatula. I'm going to take some of the icing and I'm going to put it on the turntable. Now this will keep the cake from sliding as we work. Now ideally I would have a cake board, which are basically like little round circle things about the size of your cakes, to put on here, so it was easier to take off of this board or off of my turntable after I decorated everything. But unfortunately I did leave those at work, so we are just going to have to wing this. Now when I do this, I'm not going to trim these cakes because you can see they're already very thin and they baked pretty evenly, probably because of how thin that they are. So I'm just starting with this first layer here, and I'm going to take a little bit of the banana icing So you can't see my face, but that's okay. So I'm gonna get a little bit of the banana icing, and after this chilled, this actually tastes a lot more like banana than it did when I first like whipped it. So that's kind of good. I'm excited. That means I won't have to necessarily put that much banana in between the layers. And I'm just going to move this around the entire base of this layer of the cake. And you're gonna see in a second, it's okay if you go like a little over the edge, because obviously this is going to be what we cover the entire cake with too, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, as I was saying, you're gonna see in a second, I'm gonna start like pushing some of the middle out to the sides, and I'm going to kind of just like build like a wall around the middle, because that's where I'm gonna put some more strawberry puree, because unlike the icing, the strawberry in the cake didn't come through as much after it chilled like I thought it was initially going to. So I am going to definitely add some of our strawberry puree just to make sure that the cake is as flavorful as it can be. Okay, and now that we have kind of like a little perimeter with a small circle in the middle, I'm gonna take some of our leftover strawberry puree, and I'm gonna take half of it because we are gonna have two interior layers, I should say, that we're going to have to fill. And also doing this little wall around it keeps the filling from spilling out onto the sides of the cake. So it kind of just keeps it in its place. Now you can do, like, I probably should have made this hole a little bigger, but it's okay, it'll work. And you kind of want to eye and see and make sure that it's level, so that way when you put the next cake layer on, it's not like uneven. Okay, so this is the cake outside of the refrigerator. Now I'm going to be using a mix of my spatula that I was using earlier and my cake scraper, just so I can get nice even sides and top. Now the top I'm not really overly concerned about because I'm going to be putting the pink on there. So that'll kind of even itself out when I do the pink, but I definitely want to make sure I have nice and smooth sides. Now you're gonna start by, I always start with the top, and then some of the icing will fall down. You can kind of see it here, as long as my screen isn't too bright. There we go. So you can kind of see it here. Some of the icing is dripping down, and then you're gonna take some on your spatula and you're gonna put it on the sides. But you don't have to do, I mean, I would do a lot, honestly. And if we were using buttercream, you would do this step with a pastry bag, but this is a little thin to actually go inside of the pastry bag. But so then you're gonna take the flat side of your cake scraper and you're just gonna press it up and make it even with the side of the cake, and then you're going to lightly scrape so that way it covers and it doesn't like remove all of it, but it makes it nice and flat. Okay, and now that we have a nice layer of white around the outside, I'm going to dye the rest of this icing pink so that way we can cover the top and the bottom. Now this is a lot of icing, so it's gonna take a lot of dye. So I'm just gonna go in and, it doesn't have to be a dark pink. Now, as I said, these are the neon colors, so I don't think it would have gotten dark pink anyway, but I mean, you never know. So I mean, I guess that's a bonus for me, but it definitely looks a little different than how it looked on camera. Okay, so this icing, as I said, it's not very stiff, so I don't think piping it's going to work. So I think I might just try and see if I can scoop it over close enough to the edge where it's going to fall, but not like fall completely down the cake, if you know what I mean. So let's just try. You can kind of see in here what I did. I kind of just tried to do like little lumps. Now some of it you can see I messed up on, like you can see this piece of like pink right here. But you know what, I think this is pretty good considering that this icing is really runny. Next I have to do the bottom, and I might just do like a pink strip around the bottom just because this cake isn't quite as tall as the one that's in The Sims. So like trying to do like bubbles and stuff might take up too much of the white, but we will see. Okay guys, so I did what I said I was going to do, and I just put a streak of pink across the bottom. Now you can see there's some white in there. A little bit is the light reflecting, but also some of it is because my icing wasn't mixed that well. I have some white left in there at the bottom, so when I was scraping out the bottom, some of the white got stuck. But yeah, so this is the side of the cake. Now we're gonna take my rainbow unicorn sprinkles and we're just gonna put some of these on top. And voila, you can see the sprinkles from here. I'm not gonna tip the cake over. We'll have screenshots at the end, but I do not trust myself holding this cake up so that you guys can see it in the camera. At least tilted towards you to see the sprinkles. But so this was the third installment. Yeah, third installment of our Baking with The Sims series. Please let me know what you think of this series in the comments down below. If you like it, please be sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!